telecommunications stocks pushed to major U.S. indexes to former record highs on Wall Street on Friday. I'm Bartnick.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, over-designed, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 6655 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 6655.
No, I had the TV on the streaming on Facebook Live.
Mortgage, and I assume you understand what you just signed.
Stack of papers, George?
That's right. And for future, just call this number if you need anything. Yeah, I'm gonna need that pen back.
The mortgage process can be confusing. Looking for the right rate, the right term, and most importantly, the right place to get your mortgage. At Clinton Savings Bank, we are committed to getting the mortgage that's right for you. You may even receive up to a $750 credit off your closing costs. Plus, right now, you can lock in the rate from your pre-qualification for 90 days while you look for a home. So what are you waiting for? Definitely not this.
Oh boy. Hi, Mrs. Lavash. How can I help? You're breaking up. Try again later.
Subject to credit approval. Offer may be withdrawn at any time. For complete details, exclusions, and credit cost terms, call 888-744-4272. Apply at ClintonSavings.com. NMLS number 422081. Member FDIC. Member DIF. Equal housing lender.
We know why you're awake. Your child is about to get their driver's license. Levante's Auto School offers one-week driving programs to help make sure your child stays safe and focused behind the wheel.
877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed?
That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Learn to drive safely and efficiently. Visit one of our 5 locations throughout Massachusetts. Click LevantesAutoschool.com.
Levante's Auto School shows you how.
That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Hi, this is Brian Carpenter from One Worcester Homes. We're excited to offer the strongest buyer and seller representation throughout Worcester County and all the surrounding areas. Our agents are trained better and will look out for your best interests throughout the entire transaction. To reach out to One Worcester Homes, simply find us on Facebook, type in One Worcester Homes. We look forward to the opportunity to help you and your family in your home buying. Get to join us the 4th Saturday of every month at 7:30 on Handling Change.
The following is a paid program. The opinions are those of the host or guests and not necessarily those of the station or its management.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Our topics are large and small. When you really need to know, we are the show.
All right, folks, good morning. Good morning. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, 508-871-7000, and join the conversation. Lines are open and available. 508-871-7000. You can also text us on our text line, 617-297-8388. That's 617-297-8388. If you can't text but you do have a device, you can actually email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com, and it appears on the same screen. So use that. And I always at the top of the show give you our email to the show. It's the business office. It's joemshow@gmail.com, and the office number is 508-603-9778. Wow, we have a lot to talk about. You know, it goes from weekend to weekend, and so much happens, especially right now between the impeachment and the fact that the president probably has had the best month, ironically, of his entire presidency. He had 2 major trade deals signed, China and USMCA. You know, he took out Soleimani earlier in the month. This has just been a great time, you know, when you put on the backdrop of the impeachment. And it's as if the impeachment actually drives this guy to work harder and harder. But we have a very special guest that we are joining me in studio today.
Top Cat, the most effectual Top Cat, whose intellectual close friends get to call him TC, providing
It's Mike Wade, the founder of the show, and was my partner in the air for a lot of years before he stepped back from the microphone for a little while. Good morning, Mike, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Joe. Happy New Year to all the listeners out there.
It's so great to have you back. And we usually have you in on like the last show of the year, but you were traveling this year, Christmas
Right,
time.
this year I was traveling.
So
Went to see family in Florida. Got a little bit of that warm weather.
How's retirement been for the last couple of years?
It's not, I gotta say, it's not retirement. I seem to be working harder now than I have when I was working.
I kind of suspected
so.
that would be the case. Yeah.
Right.
So you're still so active in doing riding bikes or?
Yeah, I ride more bicycles than actual motorcycles.
Well, that's good. Healthy. How's everything else?
Everything seems to be fine. I've still got what I've had. I'll probably end
Yeah.
up living with it the rest of my life. Can't seem to find the missing ingredient to cure it, but other than that,
And,
I feel good. I get up every day. I'm vertical, I'm not horizontal, so I feel good in that case. I mean, it's very interesting what's going on with Trump. And I was thinking about it this morning, not that I want to hog the mic
No,
and
no,
stuff
no.
like
We're
that.
here to talk about this.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I was thinking about it this morning. I'm saying to myself, Trump was the person that had to be in at this time.
Mhm.
There is not another candidate that was running against Trump that could have stood up to the onslaught that he is getting from the media. 93% of his coverage is negative. It's amazing to find out how high he is polling at this
Yeah.
time. You know, with all that negative coverage, I mean, the average person would have thrown in a towel a long time ago, but I give him a lot of credit. He is one tough cookie, and he doesn't give a damn what people say about him. So
100%, and they've gone after his family, Mike. I mean, this isn't just going after Trump on the political arena. You know, they have literally gone after his children. They've gone after anyone that has worked with him. Look at what happened when he first was coming in. All of the retail outlets that carried the Trump line and so forth, they suspended it, right? Even the designers who traditionally always outfit the First Lady and are thrilled to have the First Lady of the United States wear their gowns. And on that note, just as a side thing, I don't think you've had, we'd have to go back to maybe Jackie O before you had a First Lady as elegant and as beautiful and could really do justice to a designer dress than Melania Trump.
Right.
So it's just crazy that he's treated this way. But you're right, the approval ratings is crossed over, 50% among Republicans. He continually knocks it out of the park under this incredible onslaught of criticism, and not just criticism, Mike, right? But they actually are maneuvering, and the Democrats are maneuvering to hurt Trump without any regard of hurting the country while doing it.
they're not worried about the country at all. They're worrying about themselves and their power. And the Democrat Party is run by the news media because, I said it a long time ago, they all regurgitate the same thing. Nobody comes up with something different. It's all says the same, all right? The other thing is if you look at that, I said to myself then, who is really behind the news media and who is behind the Democratic Party? And I always said that, people should be looking out for this country. Isn't that what they worry about? No, the Democrats worry about power, and that's all they're worried about. They bring this country down just to have power and have permanent power. They don't care. If you look at the Democrats, they always say, well, the Republicans have all the money. I hate to tell you, most of the Democrats have all the money. And this thing about billionaires, Bernie now doesn't talk about millionaires because he is a millionaire. Same thing with Lizzie Warren. You begin to wonder, where do they get all the money? They go to Congress but they all seem to end up with quite a bit of money. They've made their money under capitalism, but now all of a sudden they want everybody to live under socialism. And I guarantee they're going to keep all their money. And if socialism is so great, they should say, hey, I made this money under capitalism. I'm going to give it back. And then I'm going to show you how we make money under socialism. They cannot do it because you can't make money under socialism. The only people that make money under socialism are the government because they're stealing from the people. Look at the Castros, how rich that family is. In any dictatorship, the family, the immediate family, and the people that are there are the ones that have all the money, not the people.
It's funny, there's a show, I don't know what network it's on now, it's called Tyrant, and it's about a Middle East country which is under a dictatorship, and it's a fictitious thing, but it's supposed to insert into modern times, and that's it. I mean, you've got the ruling, the family, you know, has a garage full of Bugattis and Lamborghinis, and everybody else in this Middle East made-up country are in dirt huts and that kind of thing. But on the Bernie Sanders thing, by the way, because I didn't have his numbers, so Bernie Sanders in 2016 is what I had the available income tax for. He made $1 million, $1,062,626. His charitable donations, $10,006. So less than 1% of his income were, got put to charity. So his campaign against the greed on the 99% of his income himself, right? So for committed socialists, he sure doesn't seem to live like one. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Lines open, and actually they're not. So let's go to the phones. Good morning, Dawn. You jumped in there real fast, and you've been holding. Thank you. And Mike Wade is with me in the studio this morning.
Well, good morning, Joe. Good morning, Michael.
Good
Hey,
morning.
if you ever need a job in radio, Michael, I think we can squeeze you in on WCRN maybe, if you want to come in afternoon.
Yeah.
I think 3 to 5 is open in the morning. Or
3 to 5,
6.
yeah.
3 to 6. Come on before me, yeah.
We'll get you a bunk at the station you can sleep in.
Yeah, I might as well. I could sleep under the table here.
In the beginning days of radio, I did that a couple of times. Slept on the couch in the lobby.
Wow.
You got to do it, yeah. So what's on your mind, Don?
Well, quickly here, we're having problems down in Virginia with the damn Democrats down there. They think they're Nazis and they think they're going to take away guns. Now, here's the problem. I've always stated that the 1968 gun control law was unconstitutional, and the fact it's unconstitutional is that it allows the states and local authorities to negate federal law and to infringe the rights of people to keep and bear arms, which are protected by the Second Amendment. So how does Congress, the Democrat Congress and the Democrat President in 1968, enact a law that is so unconstitutional a 3-year-old in kindergarten can see it, because you cannot allow a state or local government to nullify what the Congress has done, because then it makes Congress totally ineffective. What do you think?
Well, realistically, I always thought, maybe I'm wrong, but we also live in a different era. The federal government, their laws always trump the state laws. So I don't understand if the federal laws are on the books as far as the Second Amendment and that. I find it hard that the states can override what the feds have in place. But today, it really doesn't matter what they want.
I know what you're saying, Michael. If Congress can say you can nullify our laws, why do we have a Congress in the first place?
I was going to say that. We don't need the federal government. We can all go back to states' rights. Okay, Massachusetts would be a socialist. Most of the East Coast would be a socialist country, a socialist states. You get into the Midwest, in the West, they'd all be very conservative. Then when you get to the left coast there, it'd be the same way. But that's the way it is now in the voting box. And one thing I'm thinking about this morning, Trump is going to do what Ronald Reagan does. He has to win in a landslide. And that's not going to stop the left from doing whatever they want to do. But the people have to show that Donald Trump is the president that they choose. And I've, listened to people in Massachusetts, he'll never win Massachusetts, so why vote? Realistically, the big thing now is he won the electoral college last time, but lost the popular vote. He has to win the popular vote and the electoral college this year, okay? And they'll still come up with something. But like I said, he's one tough cookie, and I think he can take what they dish out. But we have to keep the economic ball rolling, which he is definitely doing, all right? He's getting no credit for it. I heard Bernie Sanders say, oh yeah, I can do a better China deal than Trump did. The other thing is under Obama for 8 years, Biden's been in the White House, has been in the Senate, all right? Bernie Sanders has, Lizzie Warren. Did they ever sit down and say, hey, let's renegotiate these trades? In fact, when Trump said it, they said, oh no, we can't do that. We can't upset the apple cart. Well, he's putting them in their places, and people have to remember what these Democrats said. Oh, you can't do that, all right? It'll hurt our economy. Well, I hate to tell you, it hasn't hurt the economy. It's helping it, and it's going to help it even more. So in other words, one thing Trump does is if he says something, he's going to do it. And he's probably...
Well, you're exactly right, Mike, and he's the right guy at the right time. But one other quick point about the Second Amendment and the act of Congress, the gun control law. The Supreme Court has ruled many times that no citizen must obey two masters. In other words, you have to obey the federal government and the state government, because if they're both equal, what good then is having two entities that can control your life and deny you your rights? Remember, Congress is supposed to enact laws that secure or give effect to the Bill of Rights and to the Constitution. They cannot say, yes, you have a right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment, but the states and local government can deny you that right. That's trying to obey two masters. You cannot do that. This is the epitome of stupidity and ignorance. I mean, you just can't let them do that, Mike.
Right. Well, going back to the Second Amendment, but really what sticks in my mind, you talk about, what goes on in the federal government, all right? I've looked at, and this is off the subject of the Second Amendment, I looked at Hillary Clinton and what she did, destroyed her computers, destroyed everything, okay? Never went to jail. What a lot of these people have done in the Russia hoax, all right? I want to see if any of them go to jail. Because if I did that or you did that, you'd be in jail. These people seem to have carte blanche, and they never get punished for what they do and what they put the country through, and definitely what they put the president through. In other words, we're waiting for one more other report, okay? And they better start putting people in jail, all right? If not, then why do we even have laws? Let's face it, the illegals don't obey our laws. We got people in Congress don't obey the laws.
The
so why
don't obey the immigration laws? Yeah.
Right. So why, as you, Joe, here, why do we have to obey the laws? The other thing I was listening to this morning, they were talking about Austin, how the homeless is really bad there with the needles, the feces all over. Oh yeah, all the liberal, all the liberal cities. But I said to myself, if my septic system backs up, I'll have the Board of Health down there, seconds flat to say, hey, you better fix that. So why? I can go out and take a big dump in the middle of the road and nothing happens to me. What about the health of that? And they're worried about my septic system backing up. Or it goes into the, or it goes, yeah, right, I understand it.
Don't clean the sidewalk, they get busted by the cops. But the homeless can crap anywhere.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The laws, in other words, we're supposed to be a country of laws, okay?
Equal justice.
The rule of law, and it is equal justice under the law. But it seems like we don't. The average person doesn't have the rights that the homeless have, the illegals have, and the people serving us in Congress.
true. Hey, Don, anything else? Because we've got full lines.
Oh, that's it. No.
Awesome.
Just wanted to get in quickly. I got to jump out here. Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it. And we are.
Yeah, we'll see it, Don.
Hey, Don. Yeah, we are watching what's going on in Virginia. I don't know if you've been watching. This is so ridiculous. We keep an eye on that, and we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Now, I mean, they're now calling those citizens who simply are exercising the Second Amendment. They're calling them terrorists, and they're calling them Nazis, and they absolutely have such arrogance that they believe that that they are right 100%, and that they're going to, the Constitution, as far as these particular people are concerned, is just, it's a hindrance, it's an obstacle, it's something that they need to get rid of, because they can't be the totalitarian dictators that they want to be, because that pesky little Constitution gets in the way. Reminding folks, you can reach the studio here. Mike Wade with me in studio, 508-871-7000. Also, for those of you that use Facebook, we are streaming from the studio live on Facebook at Joe Mangi Show. So go to Facebook. It's also shared on my personal page. I think a lot of people use my personal page in addition to the show page. But go to Joe Mangi Show at Facebook, and you'll see a live streaming of the studio. You'll be able to see Mike Wade and myself, and check out my Trump gear from New England Trump Stores. Has provided me with this fantastic, Mike, what do you think of this hat, right? Big presidential.
I tell you what, I like the hat, and I like the sweatshirt.
Hoodie sweatshirt.
It says it all. It really does. It says it all.
So it's for the camera. We get a good Trump sweatshirt and this beautiful hat. I love this red hat. Big presidential seal in the middle with Trump on the back of it. 508-871-7000. So check us out on Facebook streaming. We wave to the camera. You'll be able to peek into the studio. So let's go to Lee, who's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Lee. You're on, and Mike Wade is back in studio with me today.
Hello, Mike. How you doing?
Hello, Lee. Yeah, I'm doing fine.
I still have your picture on that T-shirt that I got many years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I even sent it out to be cleaned, and then I put it back in plastic. So.
Wow.
Well, it was the start. I want to just bring a couple of happy notes to this. Okay.
Awesome.
I talked about the Freedom Alliance, freedom of religion, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but the president just signed a bill restoring religious in the schools.
Yep.
Have you heard that? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just another achievement this month, right?
Another achievement.
On top of the Dow, breaking 29,000, right? On top of the court ruling that the $3.6 billion can go to the wall, right? On top of so many things, right? Getting Soleimani, right? New sanctions on Iran, 140,000 more jobs. This is all in just this month, folks.
Well, the thing is, the thing is, he's going where it really should be going. He's got to go to our culture. And this is just the beginning, because you know that I've been called a screwball because I said they should have prayers in school. They should be allowed. I've actually been criticized from some people for that. But this is a very, very important thing, because this is a cultural thing. This is not political. This is cultural. And this is where we have to start getting our country back.
The other,
okay?
Lee, I just want to cut in for 1 second, okay?
Sure.
You're talking about religion, and when I grew up, yes, we had the Lord's Prayer, we had the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag when I was in school, all right? Mm-hmm. The other thing that I don't understand, we all know where this liberalism comes from, all right? The federal government controls the schools, okay, the education. Always complained about it under Obama, what he was sticking in there. Now Trump has been in there for almost 4 years, and they haven't done anything in the education end of it. You know, they can start teaching some of this stuff in school. Civics. I know some schools now are starting to get more into it, okay? But in other words, it should be a mandate from the federal government. We listen to all the bull crap about the liberals and their philosophy as far as education is concerned. It's about time we started taking the education system back and, you know, getting people. And like I said, the prayer is a start to that, and hopefully it keeps growing from there.
Well, you're absolutely right in the sense that it's in the lower schools because the colleges have been infiltrated since the 30s, okay?
Right.
And it's going to take longer, all right?
Yeah, but the other thing, if you teach people to understand stuff, okay, and get back into objective and not just take what the left says as truth, okay, and you got to start that at a younger age. Yeah, you probably never change the colleges, but you can change some that get the government subsidies where they have to teach this class and that class, all right? Whatever happened to debates? I don't even know if any schools have debate team anymore because everybody's afraid to, you know, say something. And it has to start in the younger grades and go up through. When people get into college, they don't just get brainwashed by some professor that doesn't know. I can't say what I really want to say on the air, but that's what I'm saying. And it does start at the younger age.
Well, I agree, and I've been saying this for a long time, that education is where we have to start,
right,
because we're fighting a cultural war. And if we start with the middle schools, the lower schools, and we get these prayers in there, then we get the kind of curriculum that we need, that they should be teaching about the government, they should be saying the Pledge of Allegiance of the flag. And the people who don't fit in, like this one, I don't know if you heard about the woman who's now on the school council in Boston, and she's an illegal, and her mother was illegal, and she was up there giving a speech on Thursday, Friday, talking about how she's illegal, and she talks in Spanish, and she's telling everybody how it's okay to be illegal. You see, this is the stuff where the government has to come in.
Well, look, we had our own Attorney General say it's not illegal to be illegal in this. Right? So the mentality here, I mean, when you listen to the left, people on the left speak, it just was a Bloomberg that just came out and said it is our responsibility to give illegals places to live and health care. It's our responsibility, and he wants to treat the American taxpayer. Right, and I've said this before, we're against the clock here, but I said this before, look, I look at it this way. My children, my grandchildren, my children's grandchildren are born into servitude. If you're born in this country, you're born with a multi-trillion-dollar debt over your head. You need to go to work and make money so that the government can redistribute it to people who are born on the other side of the planet. So when somebody's born in some other country, you're born in this country, you're already saddled, not only with the debt that exists, but you're saddled with the responsibility that you need to go up, earn money to take care of somebody who's not even in your country yet. And they're coming to you. But we do, hey Lee, we got to take a break. It's hard break against the clock. So thank you very much for your call. As far as, hey guys, I know you're on the phone. We got to take this break. We'll come back on the other side. Richard, Lee, excuse me, Mark, we're all waiting here, 508-871-7000. Stick with us. Well, you look good on the screen. The mic's right in front of your face now.
This Handling Change Minute brought to you by...
Yeah, we gotta, I do just the phone, I've been doing it, but I brought that computer and I gave that to Chris. But now the mouse, but now the mouse isn't working for some reason on it. And then, so I've got this laptop that I gotta clean up because it has plenty of files on it and stuff. But I tried to set it up today, but I couldn't get it on the internet. And I'll leave that here because it needs a computer dedicated to streaming. But he bought software, so there's two little digital cameras he has.
Is that your camera?
That's my camera. It's all my equipment, yeah.
6 out of 10 riders never tip. 4 out of 10 riders sometimes.
So actually, Keith
always tip. Now the average tip overall is only 50 cents, but the average tip among those
Keith calls in at 6:45.
That's $3. And the tips are the highest in the middle of the U.S. That's right, they're the highest in that flyover country, not the liberal bastions of the East.
And I also put a text line in a few months ago, so people can text the show now. And it's a great move, because a lot of people who won't call in send a text. And if you can't text, you can email, text, or the radio, and it just goes to the same thing. So people also using that account to send. It's funny because I give the show email all the time. It used to be Real Right Talk, and I still have that. It still exists. People don't really, they use it, but they use text on the radio to send me files or notices and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of strange how people are like that.
Well, others are a tad more extreme. One advisor says, don't unlock your doors unless they tip. It's called the no tip, no go strategy. See how that works out for you. This Handling Change Business Minute brought to you by the Cantiani Insurance Group from the Cantiani Insurance Studios. Have you heard of the hottest new bakery around? I know you heard about it right here. My friend Al has opened Nothing But Cake in the White City Plaza in Shrewsbury. Nothing But Cake is a bakery chain and is locally owned and operated by my friend Al. They have bun cakes ranging from bite-sized to
Can you hand me that pad for the mouse?
Check them out.
Underneath
Bakery
it?
fashion
Yeah.
and on site. Nothing beats a sweet surprise. Until you try one of Al's bun cakes, you haven't tried a real bun cake. Stop by and ask for Al. Tell him Joe told you to stop by. 98 Boston Turnpike, White City Plaza near Planet Fitness, Shrewsbury, and on Facebook as well. Nothing But Cake Shrewsbury.
This is Wes Oliver with Prestige Home Mortgage from Handling.
Is streaming on? Is the streaming on? Because Paul Rander is send a message in, and it runs the ad and then it goes silent. All right, folks, so welcome back here to the Joe Mangiacotti Show. I am Joe Mangiacotti. In studio with me is the founder of basically the show, founder of the Conservatively Speaking Show, which we were for, 11 plus years on the Conservatively Speaking. Mike Wade, the man himself, stepped out from behind full-time of the microphone in December 2017, but he comes back around this time every year, so he's in studio at 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. And you can also text us on our text line, which is 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388, or email textjoeintheradio@gmail.com, and you can reach us that way as well. We're also streaming on Facebook Live. So let's go to the phone. Who is next? I lost track. Who's Richard? Richard. Good morning, Richard. Richard from New Hampshire. Good morning, Happy New Year, and you're on with Mike Wade as well, Richard.
Yes, good morning, Joe, and good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
You're doing a hell of a lot better than you were doing before.
Yeah, I feel good. Like I said, I'm going to just live with it. It's fine.
I'm glad to hear that. All right, a couple things. First of all, let's talk about the Constitution of the United States. It has 12 amendments. Those 12 amendments don't apply to you, me, and the federal vote. They apply to Congress. Those are the do's and do nots. All right? In other words, we're governed by our own constitutions, the 50 constitutions of 50 several states, which we don't have anymore. And basically what it is, if you look at your constitution in Massachusetts, Joe, all right, it's usually the constitution of the state, small s of Massachusetts, like here in New Hampshire. We have the constitution of the small s state of New Hampshire, all right? What they've done is they've taken all this away from us. Right? So what we have to do now is we have to take our state back individually. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that's for another subject. What I want to talk about, Elizabeth Warren here a little.
Oh, yeah.
A tiny bit.
Go ahead.
Right. Basically, when Elizabeth comes out, she says the first day she's elected, the first day she's going to cut all the school, the money for the students that owe, student loans. And I'm saying, is she stupid or what? Because there are 4 Supreme Court cases out there, right? The first one is Haber, and that was in 1778. 1778, that was right after the Revolutionary War. Haber, what they did is they tried to get money for the widowers that, their husbands died.
Yep.
And they brought this in front of the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, well, we can't do anything about that. Because even if we said they could get the money, the War Department could say no. So he says, we don't have any authority over that. And then the other 3 is Muskrat, Ferrero, and then you have Babcock. And most of them go by Babcock, even the state. And in Babcock it said, in other words, when the government makes an action against itself, right? In other words, they give a benefit. Well, student loans are benefits. And when they came out and they said that there is no remedy or recourse in the courts. So when they come out and say that they're going to, lower, the taxes, the money for the kids' student loans, and when
they're going to wipe it out. And the question is,
they can't. They can't, because that would be overturning 4 Supreme Court cases. They can't do it.
Well, just on principle here alone, Richard. I mean, who is supposed to be on the hook for that? Because the government took over student loans a few years ago. That means the taxpayers.
They took over student loans. Was that under Obama that they took over student loans? There was no reason for the government to get into the student loan business.
Look, fascism is when you have the government controlling the private, right? And this is what they want to do. The Democrats would like to take over. You can have private companies, but they want to run them and take over the running of them and tell them how they can operate. And that's fascism. By taking over the student loans and forgiving it, that's saddling the American taxpayer again with that. And look, part of getting your education is paying for it. Whether you're paying for it through grants, and I think that's fine, grants and all of that, and mom and dad are helping you out, but I think part of being in this society is working hard to get that education. And I think that we just can't give it, because what are you going to do to all the people who are still, it took them 20, 30 years to pay off those student loans, right?
Right.
We're going to cut them retroactive checks. I mean, we already have a generation of these entitled millennials who just think everything should be handed to them. I don't agree with it. Who is supposed to foot this bill? And if you listen to the Project Veritas thing, and I don't know if you caught that, Mike, but I don't know, Richard, have you caught this? So Project Veritas just released that they did it to Bernie Sanders campaign. They went undercover, and they've got, and it's on my Facebook page, so go check it out. They've got, and this guy is not a volunteer. He is a well-paid, highly placed staff member in the Bernie Sanders campaign, and he's talking about everything from comparing Trump supporters to Nazis, and that after Bernie wins, that they're going to have to re-educate us, put us into re-education camps to teach us not to be, in his words, Nazis, which is irony being that's about as Nazi as you can get. And the other part of it, he says that re-educating everybody is part of Bernie's free college, because if they're giving you the free college, they control the curriculum, they control the mindset within that college atmosphere. And they've already been doing it. Haven't they been indoctrinating our children for a few decades now?
1968.
Yeah. So I mean, this is the whole point. Is that's why they want to control that, and then they want to control, of course, our health system. Look, if you control the health system, and then the next, it's disarm your citizens, control the health system, and control the food. They're continually trying to take our guns away. They have been controlling the education system. They're trying to get the health system within the government control, so they decide who gets treatment and how long you get to live. And if you're not a member of the party and you're not that valuable to them, then they give you a pill to make you happy and go home, but they're not going to give you the kidney or whatever it is that you need if the government has decided that your life isn't worth that. Now, if you happen to be a Clinton or an Obama,
I'll give you a picture of your kidney.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. All right,
but
Richard.
The other thing too is that he said, I don't know if you're aware of this, but he also came out and said if Bernie doesn't get the nomination, they're going to burn down Milwaukee.
Yeah, and then the Milwaukee and the cops are going to be the ones being beaten in the street.
That's how off the wall they really are.
Yeah.
But the other thing, real quick, all right, when they're talking about taking the money from the billionaires, first of all, there's not enough billionaires to get all that money back. But then they say they're going to go after the corporations. Now, this is how stupid all these people are out there, because first of all, corporations, and Mike, I don't know if you're aware of this, but they don't pay income tax. They don't. And that was in 1923. There's a Supreme Court case, Merchants Loan and Trust versus Schmidt-Donka. And they came out and said the Supreme Court back then, it's a holding, it's still good. And they came out and said that the word income in the Constitution means, and what they did is they went all the way back to the 1909 Corporate Excise Tax Act. So in other words, it's an excise tax for the corporations. They don't have that.
Absolutely.
They don't have an income tax, guys.
You're right, Richard,
That's
but
how stupid they are.
Richard, we gotta go. We got stacked lines, full
okay.
lines. Thank
All
you
right,
for your
thank
call. Always a great call. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Mark, thank you for waiting patiently. Good morning, sir. You're on with myself and Mike Wade in studio with us.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. How about you?
We're doing all right for an old man.
Yep. Hey, we both are.
Great. It's great to hear you back on the airways.
Thank you.
the man. I'm telling you, you the man.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I want to ask you a question.
Yep. Go
Why
ahead.
the hell even bother electing a president of the United States when you got a judge from East Bumtuck, New York, can override him? Why the hell even elect a president? You got judges now legislating from the bench.
Yep.
And you got a Republican Party that is pretty much useless. They sit on their thumbs and do nothing, and they let these people get the gang of four, which is Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, and Nadler, hold this country hostage. Why is this? I'll listen to what you got to say.
Well, the other thing is realistically, okay, this country is almost divided. It showed it in the last election. You got X number of people that want to be a socialist republic or just a socialist state. Bernie Sanders is not a socialist or a Nazi. Bernie Sanders is a communist. He's a full-fledged communist, all right? But you look at what it is. They have the news media behind them, you know, saying how great they are and what they're doing and Trump's bad, all right? I got to say, they're fighting a good fight, all right? But I think the Republicans can go even further. The other thing that really gets me, and I see it, the Democrats in the news media, they stick together, all right? The Republicans kind of go wishy-washy. I was glad to see that the Republicans stood their ground under the impeachment in the House, and none of them caved. Now, when we get to the Senate, you got some wishy-washy people, like you got
McConnell.
Yeah, McConnell, like I said, but the biggest thing is you got Romney there. He hates Trump.
Goodness,
He hates Trump. There's a few other senators that hate Trump, so it's going to be very interesting to see.
Collins,
Yes.
Susan Collins.
Yep.
That crackpot from up in Maine.
Maine. But like I said, we're gonna have to let it play out, see how Trump's lawyers handle it and how the Republicans stand up. Because realistically, the Republicans are going to say, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe in. As far as I'm concerned, you can't be a moderate. You have to say, okay, this is what I believe in. This moderate, you're not going to get the Democrats to cross the aisle. If you don't do or believe what the Democrats do, it's nothing. Anytime they say, okay, we're going to cross the aisle, but it's always got to be with what the Democrats say, all right? It's not what the Republicans say. So in other words, you're right, the Republicans have to have a backbone, and they have to stand up for this country, because the Democrats want to bring it to its knees, because they're all looking for power, and eventually they're all going to have money. It's just like in the Soviet Union. You had the ruling class, and then you had everybody else that were miserable, okay? The ruling class was in Moscow to all the operas, the ballets, having a grand old time, plenty of food. But if you were the average person, you were miserable, and you didn't have the food, you didn't have heat, you didn't have anything. That's no way to live, but that's it. That's basically what they have in North Korea. They have the same thing in Venezuela. They don't have to worry about the heat as far as keeping themselves warm. They have to worry about the heat in the summertime and stuff like that. But in other words, the Republicans have to stand up, and stand up for what they believe in. And realistically, I think if you ask them all, none of them would know. But there are a lot of Republicans now that are coming around and seeing Trump. And like I said, he is one strong individual, because I don't think anybody could take the onslaught that he does day in and day out. And Joe, you said the same thing, against his family, against everything he does. Anything he does is wrong. If he actually said, okay, all illegals come on in, it's fine, the Democrats would complain about it and say, we can't do that.
We got to build a wall. We got to enforce the border laws. Trump is wrong.
Right. Anything that Trump does, the Democrats want to do the exact opposite. Trump is looking to save this country. The Democrats want to pull it down. And it's about time a lot of people opened their eyes and understood what goes on with the Democratic Party. And it's going to be interesting to see when we have the election. And like I said, Trump has to win in a landslide. So people do have to get out and vote. Even if you're in Massachusetts, vote for Trump.
Yeah, because look at Trump. I mean, look at how strong Trump's numbers were against in Charlie Baker in the same election. Far more people voted for Trump than they did Baker. You would have thought they would have been exactly right. They gone in and they voted Republican. No, so you had thousands of people who pulled the lever for Trump and blanked Baker because and I said this back, Mike, right in 2016, that people aren't voting Republican; they're voting for Trump, and that's what was going on in 2016. People, the posters had it wrong because two things. One is people were not being truthful with the posters. And people who hadn't voted either in a long time or ever came out and voted for Trump in the 2016 election. And I said this a few weeks ago, and I'm saying it again. Look, it's not enough that Trump wins and decidedly wins, because I'd like to see him not only wipe the floor in Electoral College again, but I want to see him also win the popular vote. But you also, folks, we need to give the House back to the Republicans so that they stop with these impeachment, because you know they'll continue to impeach him every few months. For 4 years. 508-871-7000.
The other thing, just one thing quick.
Yeah.
If the Republicans control the House, imagine what this country would be like.
Right.
In other words, how the economy would really be rolling, because you could actually get some of the stuff done and get rid of all this bull crap from the Democrats.
Oh, absolutely. And look, at the USMCA was just signed. The China agreement was signed. Can you imagine? People were so concerned that the economy would slow down come election time, and that would be a bad thing for Trump, even though you got people like Bill Maher wishing for a bad economy, wishing that you suffer, you, the average citizen out there, that you go through hard times just so that it makes Trump look bad. But with the China agreement, which is only phase one, and with the USMC sign, the economy is only going to get even better. And we already have 3.5% unemployment. Job participation rate is up. We've got lowest unemployment since 1969. You've got income in the average family increasing, and the largest section that it's increasing is the lower earners. And the Democrats want to say, oh, but it's only the rich. No, the people who are benefiting the most from this economy with the $4,000 increase in the average income, and that's on the lower income scale. 508-871-7000. Hey, folks, Joanne, I know you're there. We're going to go to you in a second here, dear. Just hold on. Hey, folks, the word is out, and you've heard it here. You can get all the Trump gear you could ever want. And our friend Keith has opened up the New England for Trump stores all over. And as of, well, last time I talked to him, there were 5 locations, right? Bellingham, Easton, Hanson, Peabody, and Wilmington. They're open from 11 to 6 every day. But they'll stay later if they know that you're coming, and they have everything you need, right? Tons of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, all kinds of mugs, hats, posters, scarves, just tons of items. Hey, Keith, good morning. What's happening, sir?
Hey, good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. I don't know if you go to Facebook, because we're live stream our Facebook and studio. Go check it out, because I've got my Trump hoodie sweatshirt on. I've got my Trump red hat with the presidential seal on it, you know, the one I specifically picked out in the store. So I'm all decked out in my New England for Trump gear stuff this morning.
Nice.
Look, I always say you have 5 locations, but I never know with you, because you could have opened another location between our conversations. Have you done it?
Not yet, but we actually, that's one of the things I wanted to mention. I'm working on something. I spoke with a gentleman who is a Purple Heart veteran, Vietnam vet, and he owns a property in West Brookfield, Mass. We're working on doing something there. It probably won't happen until the spring, but we're looking at some expansion for sure.
Fantastic. So how's that like Oxford area or Greater Worcester area going? Anything coming online?
Yeah. So also I'm working on something in Oxford Webster. That'll also be springtime. So yeah, there'll definitely be some expansion going on, but it's just for for the winter months.
Mike Wade's in studio. Mike, you have property all over the place. You got an open storefront that Keith can use?
Yeah.
He has tons of property.
Yeah,
Good locations. Route 9, Route 20.
Yeah, I have a.
We'll have to kick somebody out.
Let's talk.
Yeah, I have a Route 9 in Northborough.
Right there at Route 9 in Northborough's location. Great location.
All right. Well, we'll definitely talk. I'm always open to locations for sure.
All right. So again, the best place to find you guys is just go to Facebook. It's NE. Now, it's New England for Trump, folks, but it's NE. NE for Trump. Check it out on Facebook. All the locations are there. You can message you that way if he needs to talk to you. We never know what store you're going to be in, Keith, right? But you're bouncing around to all the locations.
Yeah, actually, we have a real exciting event going on today in Peabody. We have a rapper, Jeremy Carroll from New Hampshire, coming down, and he's pretty famous with a lot of the songs that he's written. Most Trump songs. He's got a song "Build the Wall," "Drain the Swamp," "MAGA Like a Mofo," and he's going to actually be doing a live video recording at the Peabody store. We have like an event. We're going to be having giveaways and refreshments, things like that.
And it's Jeremy what?
Carroll. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see the link and you'll see some of his songs. And we put together a very nice little like video clip that you'll like it. He's really good.
Oh, he's the guy with that crystal meth, incredibly disgusting drug. That song, the rapper.
I don't know about that one.
All right.
I don't know about that.
Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. All right, so that's in Peabody. What time?
We'll be there. I believe it's going to start at 12 o'clock. That's like 12 to 1, 12 to 2, something like that. We're going to get there at 10 and start setting up.
All right, awesome. Keith, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. Again, it's New England for Trump stores, 5 locations: Bellingham, Easton, Hanson, Peabody, and Wilmington, and open from 11 to 6. And Keith, if somebody is headed there and they're running late, if they call, you'll hang out a few minutes, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, keep us posted, Keith. I appreciate it, man. Take care.
You got it. Have your buddy reach out to me about that location in Northborough.
All right, we will do. We will do. Absolutely. All right, folks, 508-871-7000. Again, New England for Trump stores. Like I said, if you go to Facebook and check out our streaming of in-studio camera, you'll see I got my New England for Trump store gear on, which Keith gave me this great I was going to say sweatshirt hoodie with this hat, and I got a couple Trump hats, but I love this one. I just,
yeah, it really is.
It is huge presidential seal. It has Trump's signature on it. It's a great hat. All right, let's go to the phones. 508-871-7000. Joanne, you have been waiting very long, very patiently. I appreciate that. Good morning, dear.
Good morning, Joe, and good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to hear your voice. I never called your show, but it was certainly a light in the darkness during the Obama reign of terror. And of course, it's Obama we have to thank for all these hoaxes and defaming against President Trump, because he put into place, corrupted the DOJ, the FBI,
IRS.
the CIA, or the IRS, with all these corrupt maniacs that have not been brought to task at all. And they must be, including, especially Obama himself. Don't you think so, Mike? I mean, we're waiting for Byron Durham. It's our last gasp for some justice. These people have to be indicted, and some of them have to go to jail, and Obama has to be exposed.
Right. Well, the other thing is you think about this. I mean, you really think about it. Okay, Obama put all these cronies into places, okay? Well, if you're going to take over the country, and like he says, he wants to change it.
Fundamentally.
He wasn't happy with it. He fundamentally wanted to change it. You have to put all these people in power. So in other words, whatever the Democrats did or whatever he did, there'd be no charges for it. But if you were a Republican and didn't go along with the fundamentally changing of America, you were going to be brought into jail, okay? And you have the judges that swing his way. You know, as you grow up, you're growing up, and when I did, I said, oh yeah, the law is this, the law is that, and you can't deviate from it. Well, you can see it now. Every time they want to stop something that Trump's did, they go find a judge to do it. And you say to yourself, okay, if the law states it this way, how can that judge rule against it? And it goes to show you that they're not worried about the rule of law. They're just looking to get their agenda done. And even if Trump wins in a landslide, that doesn't mean these people are going to go away. They're just going to work harder and harder to finally get power. And it's up to the people to actually want to keep the republic that they have. Because wasn't it Reagan that said it's only one generation away? And that's what we're seeing with the millennials. More millennials want socialism. Even some of them want communism. And I guarantee none of them understand what it is, because we don't teach that in school anymore. They kind of whitewash what happened under all these dictators in the regime, how many people they killed. How many kids do you see with the Che Guevara shirts on? Yeah. If you really went and understood how many people he killed and how many people he imprisoned, but here we are, the American kids, they want to look at Che Guevara. They wouldn't do anything with Trump. They sure as heck wouldn't even wear one of his shirts. But Che Guevara, oh yeah, it's just, he's the hero. People don't understand anymore what happened because they're not taught that anymore.
And Mike, the minute he came out, I said, this is the most dangerous person in politics. I didn't find her, you know, people thought she was a joke. Oh, she is a joke, but she is the most dangerous person. Yeah. She's the one who is leading the young people down this
and Joanne, I don't know if you caught this, I talked about it last week a little bit, because she's totally bucking Nancy Pelosi in the normal DNC process in that she is not fundraising for DNC, she's fundraising for herself. She's raising money, and they're like, you got to kick some of that into DNC, and then she's like, no, I'm going to directly fund people who I want to knock out current sitting Democrats, because she wants to replace everybody with people like herself. But Joanne, we're coming up against the clock. Anything you want to say just before we got to run, because it's a hard break at the top of the hour?
Well, I hope Trump is reelected, as you said in the last slide, and the stops.
You got it. Thank you, Joanne. Always appreciate the call.
Thanks for calling.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break for the news here. We'll come back with Mike Wade and myself. We're going to talk a little bit about, in fact, I want to play a clip from Reagan talking about fascism and how that's going to come to this country. And also, there is a movement called Walk Away Campaign. We'll talk about that as well here in the Joe Mangiacotti Show. 508-871-7000, folks. Stick with us. You want a water?
Yeah.
WCRN Worcester, 7 o'clock. Stay home. New documents. I'm Christopher Cruz. Roads from the Midwest and Maine are or soon will be treacherous because of winter storms that began yesterday and will last through tomorrow.
State police in Minnesota have already responded to nearly 200 crashes, and State Police Colonel Matt Langer has some very simple advice.
Reconsider and take your own personal safety into account and bring that to the forefront and stay home.
Chicago's Friday commute was a combination of several inches of snow and below zero wind chills. The I-95 corridor on Saturday will be a sloppy mix of snow, ice, and rain. It'll turn highways into skating rinks from Washington to New York. Boston can receive up to 4 inches of snow before that turns into rain. The bottom line, stay off the roads. I'm Jeff McKay.
Text messages given to Congress by an associate of President Trump's lawyer Rudy Giuliani show a congressional candidate, Robert Hyde, criticizing the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. The messages also suggest he was monitoring her while she was in Kiev.
Capitol Hill correspondent Manu Raju has more on the documents from Lev Parnas.
According to these documents, there were text messages that were exchanged between a congressional candidate from Connecticut named Robert Hyde, who's a Trump donor, and an unknown Belgium number. And these documents appear to have been turned over to Lev Parnas, who then provided it to House Democrats.
House Democrats have until 5 o'clock Eastern today to file their impeachment briefs with the Senate. The U.S. Supreme Court will decide whether a proposed Trump administration rule that would let more employers deny insurance coverage for contraceptives for women can take effect. An appeals court had blocked the rule on procedural grounds. And this late word, 4 people have been shot to death in a home in the small town of Grantsville, Utah. It happened last night. Police say they've arrested the person they think is the shooter. Grantsville is about 35 miles southwest of Salt Lake City. I'm Christopher Cruz.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-244-6060. That's 800-244-6060. 800-244-6060. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. The price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Lavash, you're all set with your mortgage. And I assume you understand what you just signed.
Stack of papers, George?
That's right. And for future, just call this number if you need anything. And, yeah, I'm gonna need that pen back.
The mortgage process can be confusing. Looking for the right rate, the right term, and most importantly, the right place to get your mortgage. At Clinton,
Do you have the Ronald Reagan clip ready? Yeah, and then there's about 2 minutes of the walk away with Brendan Stryker. Because we're going to talk about that movement.
So what are you waiting for? Definitely not this.
Oh boy. Hi, Mrs. Lavash. How can I help? You're breaking up. Try again later.
Subject to credit approval. Offer may be withdrawn at any time. For complete details, exclusions, and credit cost and terms, call 888-744-4272. Apply at ClintonSavings.com. NMLS number 426081. Member FDIC. Member DIM. Equal housing lender.
I want to tell you what Cantiani Insurance has been able to do for me and Ted. We stopped in to see Paul Sr. and the great staff at 318 Plantation Street. They've been handling my car and business insurance for years. Teddy was making his way around the office, and they let me know. They now offer pet insurance. For a fraction of what one visit to the vet was for Teddy, they can cover him for a whole year. I know you treat your furry family members like
Oh yeah, he's still on. So I'm on 6 to 8 Sunday, and then whatever that one is with Berkowitz and Peter on it now. I talked to Chris, I'm like, I don't know about these Sundays, and I gotta, and then plus I said, I wanted to get out and get caught out of that. And he said, just hold on for a little while.
For home, auto,
Gary's
business insurance,
been
and now
trying
pet
to financial
insurance.
going on every day.
Or call 508-791-2088. 508-791-2088.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea. I've been
your
drinking.
reasons for doing
It's
the
had
show.
great
Gary's
results
a
for over
different
20
reason.
years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system, and get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger-looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com, and like me, you'll be glad you did.
All right, folks, welcome back to Hour 2 of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. You can also text us, text in real time here to the show at 617-297-8388. Shows up on a screen here in the studio, but if you can't text, but you do have a device, if you email, text Joe on the radio. See how we did that? Real simple, right, Mike? Pretty clever. Text Joe on the radio. It shows up on the same screen, and we can get your message there. And a lot of people like to send things in, but they don't like to jump on the air. That's fine. 617-297-8388 to text, and 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Mike Wade, the original founder of Conservatively Speaking, back, 2006, is in studio taking calls. He stepped out from behind the microphone on a weekly basis in December of 2017, but does come back about this time every year to jump back behind the microphone. How does it feel?
I'll tell you what,
right back in?
Yeah, it does feel good. It really does. You never run out of things to talk about, especially living in Massachusetts, where everybody's against the way we think, because we're the people that don't understand how the government in Massachusetts works. You know, and you were talking about Charlie Baker, how Trump got more votes. Well, realistically, Charlie Baker is not a Republican.
Yeah, no.
What has he
by maybe
done?
Massachusetts standards, which is nothing more than, and he's really, you know, and the problem with a guy like that, Mike, is why vote Republican when you get basically another Democrat? I mean, we need a Trump, we need a Ronald Reagan to run in the state, and it has been proven that when we do have a conservative governor, they do a good job, okay, and they do a good thing. Now, we had made reference to Ronald Reagan before we took the break, and this is actually Ronald Reagan on Johnny Carson. And Shane, you ready for this? So this is Ronald Reagan. It was Johnny Carson, and he's talking about fascism coming to America and how you'll see it. Go ahead.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism. And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation. Well, isn't this the liberal philosophy? The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government. Get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
One quick question: was that show aired before he became president?
Yes, before president.
Okay, that's what I was.
It was
wondering.
in the 70s. It was from Johnny Carson back in the 70s. He had been Governor Reagan at the time, but this was before he won in 1980.
Right.
Yeah, so that's
in other words, before he became a Republican, he was a Democrat.
Oh, he was. He was one of the
But now
converters.
he saw the Republican and the conservative philosophy, and evidently it fit more with what he believed in for this country.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the other thing, and I want to bring this up because just as an observation, right? We're looking at this current presidential race, and on the Democratic side, we're down to 6 candidates. And what's interesting is when you look across the stage of the Democratic candidates, it's male white, female white, male white, male white, male white, female white. They're all white. And at this same point, in the 2016 GOP field, when it was down to 6 candidates, right, it was a mixed match, Cuban black, Cuban Canadian, right? So you had, right now we have Bernie, Warren, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Steyer, and Biden. And that is, they're all white. There are no minorities. But in this point, in 2016, it was Trump, Cruz, Rubio, Carson, Kasich, and Jeb Bush. And you know, they're supposed to be the party of diversity, and we're supposed to be nothing but rich white old men who want to grind you under the heel of your boot. And the whole concept of this conservatism has got to be redefined. It isn't the monopoly man, you know, with the top hat and curling his mustache that he's going to evict the old lady and the orphan kids. It's so ridiculous that this attitude's got to change. And the other thing is, when we talk about this bias in the media, it's so evident. I mean, Politico, when Trump passed the USMCA, the initial headline that came out was Senate passes USMCA in major win for Trump. That's their headline. Within hours, actually I don't even think it was an hour, it was changed. They took that down, and the new headline read, Senate passes USMC, but much work remains.
Right.
And what we've seen this happens every time that they do anything that might, in the slightest way, might make Trump look good, they are attacked by the trolls, and all the left gets on their case, and they bend to it. I mean, if the media just showed an ounce of backbone in support of Trump, they are absolutely inundated with complaints and all kinds of they just dump on him.
Right. Well, you talk about this trade deal, okay? Didn't Nancy Pelosi come out and brag how the Democrats did this trade deal? Democrats realistically had nothing to do with it. It took Trump
3 years
into push and understand what was going to benefit the United States. In other words, businesses, farmers, and the actual people of this country. And that's what put into that trade deal, all right? But now the Democrats, all they were worried about was getting rid of Trump. They weren't worrying about doing anything for the people and make it easier in other words, the cost of goods, farmers, anybody manufacturing, of course, you want to take care of this country, but you also want to ship overseas, because how do you grow your business unless you have customers? And that's the idea of these trade deals. They don't want them one-sided anymore.
And the other thing there, Mike, right? And when Trump used tariffs, and he used tariffs because he is a good negotiator. I know the left wants us to believe that he's an idiot, he's a buffoon, and all of this. But I got to tell you, he went in and he used these tariffs to strangle. He's using it to strangle Iran. He used it to tell China that we're not taking this one-sided deal anymore, that it's all going your way. And China blinked. China, this is phase one. Not only they got them to even start talking about the intellectual property issues that we have with them stealing our intellectual property for decades and decades, but he has created a system where he says, look, I'll lighten up these tariffs if you have a decent trade, a fair trade agreement, which they've done so far, which is bringing $54 billion into agriculture alone. Trump has actually literally sold rice to China because they're buying our rice because there are problems there. It's just ridiculous. And now he kept kind of that carrot out there. And he said, come to phase two, if you follow through with everything you agreed and you actually behave. It's like daddy talking to you. If you behave, you're going to get your allowance. He's telling China, if you do what you said you were going to do and you follow through, I will lighten up on the tariffs, more tariffs. So he has used the tariffs as a leveraging aspect to this, and he's done a fantastic job. And as far as this UNCA goes, it has been 3 years in the making. It's all on Trump and Nancy Pelosi, the jamoke that she is, trying to take any credit whatsoever for it. And if they've been doing their job, instead of trying to, first the Mueller report and Stormy Daniels and everything else that they've thrown at this president, if they were actually doing the job they're supposed to do working for the people, this would have been passed at least a year ago, if not 2 years ago. And look how much better the country would be doing, because these two things, Mike, the China deal and the USMC, is just going to bring our economy even to further heights, and we're going to go over 30,000
Right.
on the dollar.
Well, the other thing I heard about the China deal, and I didn't know this, the largest producer of pork in the world is China, but they're having a big problem with disease, with their pigs, okay? So now they're going to come to the United States, and the United States is going to export pork to China. In other words, all that does is strengthen the farmers of this country. And some of them were wondering about, you talk about tariffs, okay? Because the tariffs did hurt the farmers in the beginning. But now this trade deal has really helped the farmers. And, they can also see what with this phase one, if there's stuff they want to modify it, when they get to phase two, they can modify that. So in other words, you get a chance to see how things are going to work. And if they're not working like we feel they should, you have a chance to modify it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks, 508-871-7000, join the conversation. And they're going to go to the phones, but Ken, if you can hold on a second, because we have Steve Hall calling in. And Steve Hall, who has been on the show before, a friend of the show, is got some news to talk to us about. Good morning, Steve. Morning, Steve.
I'm doing good. You there?
Ah, there you go. Absolutely. Good morning. Happy New Year to you. Everything good?
Everything's going good. Actually, back out on the campaign trail again this year, and decided to give it one more go. Just can't sit by and watch what's going on.
All right, let's fill people in because you know, radio changes every few minutes, never mind months in radio. Steve Hall is running for a state senate seat. Explain to the people where you're from, the seat that you're going for, and why.
I live in Southbridge, Mass, and I am running for the state senate seat in the Worcester, Hampden, Hampshire, and Middlesex district. That runs from Charlton over to Munson on the south side, and it goes right up to the New Hampshire border. 28 towns, mostly rural area, a lot different than it is in Boston, and an area that I think has been forgotten by Boston. And it's really that's why we want to get out there and make a difference.
The other thing is Ann Goldie the senator from that area?
Yeah, Ann Goldie is the senator, and Ann's really done some crazy stuff lately. I mean, she's signed on with the squad in Washington and pledged allegiance to them in opposition to the president. I mean, that just really was the straw that broke the camel's back for me.
Well, the other thing is realistically, I come from the Brookfields, East Brookfield, and as you get further west, you get people that have more common sense than the people that live in the Boston area. In other words, the people in Boston area probably think they're smarter, but they really have no common sense. And you can have less education, but if you have more common sense, you can get a lot farther than a person with education that has no common sense.
We have some good people out here.
Yes, we do.
People, yeah.
Now, Steve, your campaign has kicked off, and you're running. And again, what's the name of the seat? It's the what seat?
The Worcester, Hampden, Hampshire, and Middlesex state senate seat.
Wow.
It's a multiple.
Taking in a lot of different counties there. How many towns in the district for this seat?
It's 28 towns.
28 towns. That's crazy. See, the Senate represents roughly what? 120,000 population, because I think the rep seats are 40,000, or do I have it backwards? 60,000.
No, it's around 40,000 for rep.
Rep, and about 120.
It's about 170, actually about 171,000
for the state senate. Okay, because we have was it 160 state reps, 48 state senators, and that makes up the state. Now you have an event coming up on the 23rd.
We do, yeah. It's at the Duck in Southbridge, right on Route 20 in Southbridge, 6 to 8. We have Dave Kopaz actually as our keynote speaker. And if you haven't heard him, he's a great speaker. He's got a show on the internet called Red Pill Politics. And he's really up on things, much like you are, Joe. And it should be a great event. So it's Thursday, January 23rd. That's this coming Thursday, 6 to 8 at the Duck.
Now, you just walk in? Do you want people to go and sign up, or how's that working?
Just walk in. We'd love to see you and have fellow conservatives and patriots come out and see you.
All right, so that's the Duck at 502 Main Street in Sturbridge on the 23rd. That's Thursday, from 6 to 8 o'clock. You'll be there. Your wife will be there, and you guys. Since last time you were on the show, what did you guys do? A book now on relationships?
We have, we put out a book on 15 rules of relationship, 15 rules for loving, lasting, satisfying relationships. It just came out last month, and we're hoping to get that kicked off as well.
Wow! Well, congratulations! Fantastic. That's awesome.
So that is the Duck in Sturbridge, which is part of the Vino restaurant area. It's upstairs in the loft. Am I right or wrong?
You are correct, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And as far as the campaign, do you have a web address you want people out there, or do you want them to go to Facebook? How do you want people to take a look at your campaign?
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on at electsteve.org. That's probably the easiest way.
Sure. electsteve.org.
electsteve.org, and we'd love to see you on Thursday.
Awesome. All right, folks. I'll mention this again tomorrow, during tomorrow's show as well, and make sure I put it on my social media for you. And hopefully we'll see you on Thursday night. And as we go along in this campaign year, Steve, you have to come in and join us behind the mic one morning.
I'd be happy to.
All right, Steve. Thank you so much, folks. Steve Hall, who is running for the Worcester, Hamden, and Golby seat, folks. Steve is running for the state Senate seat, and I think this is the time you need to do it, Steve. Take her out this time around. All right, folks, fantastic. 508-871-7000, join the conversation. Let's go to the phones. Lieutenant Ken has been waiting patiently. Good morning, Lieutenant. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Colonel Joe. Lieutenant Ken reporting, and welcome, retired Colonel Mike.
Thank you. I don't know if I'd ever make it that high, you know. Maybe a private or something like that would be more.
These designations are referring to the information we provide
Oh, okay.
on this venue.
On the Battle of the War, on information.
Oh, okay, the war on information, okay.
That's right. And speaking on that topic, did you hear the Jeopardy Adam Schiff?
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, who is Adam Schiff? I have no idea who that guy is.
They showed his picture. They said that Congressman from California and chair of the Intelligence Committee, and the contestants didn't know.
And Jeopardy is filmed in California. So this is in California, and they show this guy, and nobody knew.
Well, the other thing is that only goes to show you that a lot of people aren't listening to the mainstream media, you know, anymore.
And they weren't watching the impeachment either.
Yes, because they didn't know who he was. I mean, realistically, that guy is on every TV station constantly.
I got to tell you, and I don't know where you are on this, Ken, but I mean, I'm watching it because I need to watch it to look as frustrating as it is. And truthfully, I'm not saying this just to sound like I have it on all the time in my office and studio, and it's frustrating to watch, especially back when the House was doing it, and you would literally see them stop the Republican members of Congress from going down a line of questioning. They would constantly interrupt them. They actually, the 660 rule, remember that? People forget that. They actually created a whole new set of rules called Rule 660 before they did it in the House, just to stack it against it. On top of the fact that they were doing those shifty shift meetings in the SCIF, shifty shift in the SCIF, where the SCIF, which isn't designed for this, that should have all been done in the light of day. It should have been done in one of the chambers in the Capitol building, not in the basement, not in a secured room, and yet Republican members of Congress could only read the documents in the presence of Adam Schiff's staff. And they couldn't take copies out. They had to go into this room with a member of his staff to read the stuff. This is ridiculous. So the question now becomes, Ken, right, and Mike, we go to the Senate, and we're hearing all this talk about the witnesses and more witnesses. So here I am on this, because I'm on two thoughts here. One is, look, it's not the Senate's job to do the House's job. The House's job, they had their chance, they did it. And if they wanted a witness, they should have gone through whatever process they needed to do to get those witnesses there. But at the time, Pelosi's telling us that, no, this is such an emergency that we have to rush this through. Yet she has to wait almost a month to get her pens in with golden Nancy Pelosi signature on it, all taxpayers' money, to have that absolutely disgusting ceremony with her Easter-colored dress, and they're laughing and high-fiving and taking selfies like they're signing the USMCA bill and not impeaching a president of the United States. And so out the window, any of this thought about we need it to rush through. That's bull. Clearly that was bull. And they could have done their job. Now she wants to reach her bony fingers into the Senate and tell the Senate what they got to do. And she said, I'm not sending it until I'm guaranteed of the outcome, which means I want to be guaranteed a guilty verdict and removing him. Because what did she say on top of this, folks? In 10 months, one way or another, he won't be president. Now, I don't sweat that, because we can go back to the video of before the 2016 election where she's sitting there saying, under no circumstance, I'm telling you this right now, Donald Trump will never be president of the United States. You can take that to the bank. That was Pelosi before the election in 2016. Now she's trying to control the Senate. So I think the Senate should say, no, look it, you did your job, now shut up, it's our job. and do it, acquit it or dismiss it. However, the other part of me, folks, is saying, yeah, because this is an opportunity to get the Joe Bidens, to get where's Biden up there, to get Joe Biden up there, to get Bannon, to get all these other people under oath to have to answer questions. Because the whole thing is, if you establish the fact that the Biden was shady in what they did with the placement of the board and the influence that the vice president, his father, did at that time, that absolutely justifies all of the inquiry that was made. Because Donald Trump never said, I want to investigate my opponent in the 2020 election, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think Donald Trump considered Joe Biden his opponent or any kind of threat. He asked for them to look into what was known corruption in 2016, and just because he happens to be a presidential candidate, what are you, exempt from following the law if you become a presidential candidate? If that's the case, I'm declaring myself a candidate for the presidency of the United States perpetually, so I'm exempt for any wrongdoings I've ever done.
You know, you talk about, getting them under oath. The Democrats have no problem lying, and they understand nothing's going to come for it.
Yeah.
Look at with the FBI. Look at with all that. Nothing ever comes of it. So Biden and his son there will think nothing of lying.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then the media will get in there and say, oh yeah, these guys are great. These guys are great. They're standing up. So, I want to see a trial, all right, and see Trump exonerated. But we'll have to see. I mean, there's pros and cons for both. Whether just get it in, dismiss it because the charges are bogus, or go through a whole trial.
Ken, we went off on a tyrant there and took time away from you. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, the purpose that Pelosi is delaying it a month was to hurt Bernie
Yes.
and help Biden. It's going to backfire. You know why?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to replace Bernie on the campaign trail? AOC.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
AOC that runs the party now.
yeah. Well, first of all, she's too young to run for president, thank God, right? She's too young to run for president.
Yeah.
So but she's out there causing all kinds of damage, Ken.
And the tip that Bernie had with Liz this week,
Oh yeah.
that's going to backfire on Liz.
Well, I think it already has, because I got to tell you, right, when it comes down to, and how bad does Warren have to be for me to actually say, geez, I feel a little bad for Bernie Sanders? Because, I mean, she throws this out here, and now he's at a point where, he has to defend this, yet everybody knows Elizabeth Warren lies constantly. But we're against a hard break, Ken. Sorry, we got to go.
It was fun. Catch you tomorrow.
All right, awesome, thank you. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break here for Handle and Change, and we'll come back on the other side with Mike Wade in studio with me. And yes, Gene, I know you're on the phone. Hold on till after we come back. 508-871-7000, folks.
You still on?
Yeah, she's always around, especially usually calls.
Well, you can,
This is Wes Oliver with Prestige.
you worry about people lying, and they're going to get up there. Look at how much Warren lied.
Mm-hmm.
It's constant. Look at how much Obama lied.
Yeah.
It's constant.
Yeah. And there's no consequences.
No.
They know the media is going to cover them back. They know that the media, mainstream media, will never, Hannity's of the world will, right? Glenn Beck's of the world, Rush Limbaugh's of the world will. But mainstream media will never say, well, wait a minute, you said, what about this? You said this, does that mean that? No. Nobody does this. Right? Hillary Clinton, the single difference doesn't matter now, can literally destroy multiple, after she lies that she only has one smartphone, right? Then she destroys what, 8 of them, 9 of them? She has her flunkies smashing with hammers, she eliminates 33,000 emails, and nothing. And the DOJ changes the verbiage in the report to knock it down, so it's not that they can get away with not charging her. And this is stupid, because now I have my friends on the left telling me, well, she did that. I'm like, wait a minute,
Let me ask you something. Does everybody do
look
VA
at the same
No, so
corrupt
one of the common
investigators
things
who were part of the process, part of the crime, and say, well, they didn't find her guilty because they would have to find themselves guilty.
more
right?
complicated, whereas
If it all
really
exposes, and I've said this, man, all these people, they absolutely were so confident Hillary was going to be president that I don't think that they covered their tracks as well as they would have if they realized that Trump was Hillary.
Yeah, but the other thing is,
Do you find as the originator of a VA loan that the veterans that you deal with are
Nobody's
different
going to
from
do
the
that.
clientele?
Nobody charges. Meanwhile, they're charging everybody that had anything to do with Trump.
I would say they can be, just because it's a fraternity type mentality.
And a lot of
Whether
people
in the Army,
don't see
Air
that,
Force, National
so
Guard,
that's
whatever
what I'm
branch of the military
saying.
that
And, you know,
you're
at the
in,
beginning of the year,
there's that
everybody
trust
was
factor in knowing
If you're-
that
if you-
somebody
if
knows
you're
how to
a
deal
Trump
with veterans,
supporter,
they
you're
have a
gonna vote
common
for him,
bond amongst
no
them
matter what
all.
happens.
Why is this so important to you?
And if
It's
you're
really
not a
important to me.
Trump
My dad's a
supporter, you're
Navy
never
vet.
gonna vote for him.
He served in Vietnam. I just
You know,
want to be able
that's
to give back to
basically
those
what
folks who
you know,
have given so
kinda
much for us and our
good.
freedoms and
That's
those
pretty
types of
good.
things. I just really
Yeah.
feel
Where's
like
Teddy
the
today?
underserved community.
He's home. He's home. I didn't want to throw a Teddy into a mix.
Yeah, especially with me, because he sits there watching.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
Mark said Mike?
You hear
What's that?
with
Is he
VA
barking?
hospitals,
Oh yeah.
that's a whole nother
Really?
topic.
It goes back to when my
So
office used to be over in Mike's building.
Finance goals, I wanna be able
Mike
to
would come
give
down
back
and
give
Teddy
some
would bark at him
fantastic
and
service to those people because
to, you know, tease him.
So
and-
you're offering more than or better than the other guys out there that do VAs. And are there a lot though here in New England? Easy to find a VA mortgage guy?
You can search on the internet, and most of the time you're going to find is some of the bigger, larger national companies that are out there that spend millions of dollars in advertising to target those veterans. And the reality of that is
You
that
got what
a
snow
lot of
coming
veterans
through?
are not
Weather
veterans
forecast,
because
yeah.
they're spending millions of dollars,
You
whether
still
it's
plowing
TV
stuff?
advertising,
No, I don't plow
advertising on the Super Bowl or those types of things. That
I
money
don't even
comes
plow
from
my
somewhere.
yard.
And
Do
that
you
money comes in the form of
do you really
higher
want to
costs for
connect
that
to
veteran.
do you have any
Higher
space
interest rates
open?
for that
Because he's
Yeah, I do,
open.
but
So
the
a
only
veteran is
problem
definitely
is
in
that
a better
space
service
has to
with
be
your
adult.
VA mortgage
Oh, I
company
won't.
because A, they
I
get
don't
to
think
see you
so.
face to face, right? I mean, they get to come in
I'll
and
connect
see
you. I'll
what's
do
over
this
in
now,
your
so.
office and
But,
talk to you, look you in the eyes and talk to you. And as far as the
Yep,
service
they don't
provided,
connect
when it comes to
with
the fees,
I
are they
think he
going
wants
to
to
better
go
with you than
month
they
by
are with
month,
these national
but
companies? Because you're saying
there's
Yeah,
no-
but that I understand.
Exactly.
There's-
So you look
there's
at
no
any
slowing
large
down.
company who's spending that kind of money.
Every
on
store he
advertising
opens
comes
up.
to us. We're a small independent local company.
Well,
I
he'd have
don't
the best
same
exposure.
margins
Oh,
as those
oh,
folks do
yeah.
to pay for all that. So
But
I
that
want to
is
be able to
the
give that
best
veteran an amazing experience and make sure that they're taken care
It's
of.
vacant right now.
Yes,
So
1,300
So I don't
square
want to
feet.
jeopardize, hey, you're
How
the
much do
cheapest
you-
person in
do
the
you
world
need
doing
for
this
it?
stuff, and the
I don't
service
know, I'd
is
have to
terrible,
see about that.
because oftentimes
Yeah.
you get what you pay for,
I'm
right?
sure
But we're looking at this
because he
combination
does.
of experts at doing
He's not even a big political guy. He's a big Trump supporter. He was a big Trump fan before Trump ran.
That's fantastic.
But
So
he's a
remind
guy.
folks
He
right now
is
for the
like,
VA
you know,
loans,
when the
the
Patriots
appraisal will
go,
take
he
care of
pops up all these stories from
All right.
Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
That's his thing. So he went to was going to the rally in New Hampshire, and he couldn't find a mega hat. So then he asked around. He goes, "No, you got to nail it." And so he talked to his friends in New York that he gets all the sports stuff from. They said, "Oh yeah, we got the Trump stuff." So he opened up like a pop-up tent, sold everything out. Kept doing it. Finally, he opened his first store in Bellingham, and within 5 weeks, he opened 5 locations.
Or email it at prestigemortgage.com. And you can always call 508-366-4006.
You can give him my phone number and have him call me.
All right, folks, welcome back to the final segment of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN, and of course, our sister station out in Springfield, AM 730 WACE. Coming up at 8 o'clock, Gary Goldman with Business, Politics, and Lifestyle. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000 and text us on our text line at 617-297-8388 to join the conversation there. You can also shoot an email to textjoeintheradio@gmail.com. It appears on the same screen in real time. You'll be able to reach in and talk to us. I want to talk a little bit about the Democratic Party and the walk away campaign and so forth, but let's go to the phone lines because Mike is in studio and Gene has been waiting patiently for a long time. Thank you, Gene, for doing that. Good morning, and you're on with myself and the Michael Wade.
Joe, Mike, I'm telling you, I am just, Mike.
You're going to be over the moon this morning,
I,
Gene.
yes, as a matter of fact, yes, okay. And Mike, I meant to Shane when I called in, I wish he would come back. Now, you've left your great, capable hands with Joe. I mean, you have to be sitting back and relaxing about that, Mike, because, you know, that's one thing you have to attribute, you know, that also. You are now colonel, so you've got, I second that, Ken. That was fabulous, and everyone else that called, fabulous callers, Mike. Still, as you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's no ifs and buts about it. Always have been, and I always said that. I think the callers know more than I do. So.
Well, Mike, you spurn us on from different facets of life, and that was the thing that is so important in America. You know, this is. I don't care how liberal you are. We have the liberal. Hank is back, by the way. So don't say you can't ever come back. I praise for that. So hello here. But here we have all these facets, Mike. I love it when I hear them talking, and Brian Herr and the liberal lawyer. What's his name? He's so big-headed. Marty Feldman. Oh my God. And then all of the talk show hosts. Oh my God, Mike. This station is so unique. But Mike, you were the one back when. You're the man. Mark said it. Mark said it. You're the man, Mike. And I called. Listen to what happened at Christmas, Mike. I called and I tried to find you on Motorsports International. And they said they had a place in Woodside, well, maybe he moved. So whoever got the message, Michael, I tried to reach you because he couldn't get the number from Motorsports International to leave a Christmas wish. But, Mike, you're not forgotten. And I just thank you for coming back. And maybe you can make it a couple of times a year. And you call.
I don't know. That's up to Joe.
Oh,
you know,
seats open anytime.
Because I have a habit of kind of hogging the show. I mean, if you see me in a place, I don't usually say boo. It's something about this microphone that I guess unleashes a beast or whatever. But it's just there. I don't usually say boo.
Yeah. But when you're sitting in here too, you forget that thousands and thousands of people are listening because you're in this little room, carpeted room, you're by yourself, you almost just talk like you're talking to each other, and maybe that's it. Because it's a difference standing up, and I mean, if we were to put you, Mike, in a stadium with 30,000 people,
I wouldn't be able to say anything.
Yeah, it'd be a very different.
I'd be tripping over my tongue.
Well, Mike, guess what? That's your gift from God. Remember you called me the God woman? Mike, you know what? You gave that attribute for getting out that factor of what this nation is about, Mike. This is what's happened. This is why people are so corrupted. They didn't want God now. They want to take it away. This is why the evil has happened, Mike. They will not defeat God, Mike. And that's the one thing, spoiler alert. Okay, God wins. And that's the
God wins all the time.
Mike,
if you open up your heart to,
Mike,
you know, Him. So.
Mike, God started this world. He will finish this world, big boy. And you know, Mike, I do the least for Him, but we try to get it out there. And you granted me that right from the get-go. The reign of, you know, sharing Jesus and knowing that is Lord and Savior. And Mike, by the way, my Christmas card this year, I'm 43 years now born again, Mike. They said it would never last. It's the only thing
Well, wow, that's good. Hey, yeah, Gene, have to let you go because we have a lot of, you know, callers calling in. I appreciate your call. I appreciate really what you said and that. I really
Thank
do.
you, Gene.
Thank
Always
you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Our text line is 617-297-8388. We're 290 days away from the election day, from the day that you can send a message across the board again. For one, you can cast your vote, whether you're hearing my voice in Massachusetts or Rhode Island or Connecticut or New Hampshire, even into parts of Maine. We go. It's 50,000 watts beast here. So we're heard all over New England, and we have to not only put President Trump back in office for a second term overwhelmingly, but we need to take the House, keep the Senate, and take the House away from the Democrats, because we got to send a very powerful message to the Democrats that what they've done and how political and petty they have been for the last 3 years is unacceptable, that they have not taken care of the people's business. They have put their personal feelings above the work of the people. they really do act as though they are the elite ruling class. And it's frustrating for me when you look at these and the attitude that they take, and you have to, somebody needs to remind them, like, hey, you have been elected by a little portion of the country, not the whole country. This aren't national offices, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. You people are elected in your little bubble district. But that is not representative of the entire country as a whole. And think you're speaking for everybody. You're an employee of the people. Stop acting like you're a nobleman. And
Right.
this is a ruling class.
Right. Well, the other thing is realistically, it's in the hands of the people. If you like what the Democrats have done and what they've done for the last 4 years, of course you're going to vote Democrat. But if you look in what can happen to this country, what Trump has done for this country, given everybody a good feeling again about this country, all right, then you want to vote for Trump. And people have to get out there and vote, all right? Because like I said, Trump is going to win in a landslide. It's not going to change anything. The left is still going to come after him. And Joe, you're definitely right. The House has to be in Republican hands, because what I think of, look how long it's taken him to get things done when he doesn't have the House behind him. Imagine if the House is behind him, the Senate's behind him. They can sit down and really get down to the people's business and understand that they're not the ruling class. We, the people, rule this country. And that's why I'm saying people have to get out and vote what you believe in.
Absolutely. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Mike Wade is in studio. Mike, the founder of Conservatively Speaking, and was here on Saturday mornings for about 11 years before he stepped up from behind the microphone, and I want to thank him for the opportunity here to continue the last couple of years solo here and continuing with the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Let's go to the phones. Mary Ann's been waiting patiently. Good morning, Mary Ann. You're on with Mike and myself.
I wanted to say, Mike, welcome home.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Home. And what you said about you think the callers were smarter than you, I don't know, they may not be, but the fact is none of us would have the chance to air our voice on this radio station had you not started it, so I thank you for that.
Well, the other thing is they always say that, we people that like follow Rush Limbaugh and some of the conservative hosts, we're like mindless robots. You're not. You people, the callers here bring a lot to the table. I mean, not one person understands everything, and the idea is to get everybody in there talking it and bringing out the good points, and that's what happened. And that's why I said the listening radio audience, for this station and other stations, all right, are very smart. They have a lot of common sense and can see through a lot of things, and that's what I've always been thankful for, because it was the callers that really made my show.
Yeah, you know what, Mike, you made the show. We only joined in. But I do want to say, and that's why it's important to call in, because somebody may not be thinking of something that you're going to say, and may say, hey, you know what, that guy's right. And hey, you know what, I didn't know that, I know it now. And that's the same reason you have to listen to the other side, even if you don't like what they're saying, so that you know what they're up to.
Right.
Because if you don't listen to them at all, then you don't know what to battle.
Hey, Mary Ann, I do that. Like I said, I always have the news on in my office when I'm working, but I can only take the CNN and the MSNBC in small doses. Literally. A few minutes. The blood pressure starts going up, and I realize when I'm yelling at the TV, it's time to go back to Fox News or back to Rush or something.
It's funny because the last time I was yelling, really yelling at my TV, and I can't believe this, is when the Republican kept saying you cannot have a witness be a judge, and they just kept overruling him like, be quiet, you can't talk. And it's like, oh my God, if we ever had jury members go up to be a witness against the person being tried, you might as well hang it up and move to another country.
Hey, real quick question, let me take, because I was asking this the other day on the show, is I think that the 4 sitting senators who are also presidential candidates should have to recuse themselves from the process, because here you are asking them to be the judge and jury for a guy whose job they're after. What say you? Yeah. See, I think it's ridiculous that they're allowed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you look at it, they probably want to be on the campaign trail anyway, because look at Joe Biden's going to have Iowa all to himself, and Pete Buttigieg are going to have Iowa to themselves. Well, these guys, the other four, are in the Senate, and I don't think they should be allowed to be ruling as a judge on literally the guy whose job they want.
That's right. I think that's a conflict of interest, and it shouldn't be allowed. I hope that somewhere along the line they get bounced off, even though that means they'd be back out on the campaign trail. But if they're back out there, they're making a fool of themselves again, and more people might not vote for them. You know, I just don't think they belong on that panel to judge Trump. They don't belong there at all.
Yeah, crazy.
And maybe people need to call into the Senate or call into Washington and say that.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and I think as a general rule, everybody should call. You should know your reps. Actually, not just your rep and your senator. I mean, there's nothing wrong with calling the offices of these other people, the AOCs of the world and the Schumas. There's nothing wrong with calling their office. Now, you know, they're not gonna bend over backwards for you, whatever. But the point is, if the phone's ringing and people are saying stuff, at least they're hearing it instead of hearing nothing. Because these people, Marianne,
I called in and told them that I was an independent and that I disagree with, and that it would only make me more determined not to vote for them in a general electric.
Absolutely.
I mean,
election. Yeah, absolutely. And they're gonna hear it because these people, Marianne, these people are in a bubble. They are in a bubble. First of all, when they get elected, they get surrounded by yes men. People, kissing the tuchus, and they're telling them how great they are all the time, and they do not listen to or know what's going on. When Ricky Gervais did that, was the Golden Globes, and he put Hollywood right in their place, and he said, you come up here, look at, you are in no position to lecture anyone. You're in your bubble, right? He said, the Gretchen there has more education than you people do, and who do you think you are to lecture us? But Marianne, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it.
You guys have a good weekend.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Let's go to David. David, good morning, sir. You're on with myself and Mike Wade's in studio.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Mr. Wade, Mike, welcome back. Welcome
back.
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
Listen, strength and blessings and power to you, all around that is necessary to stand up and continue doing the good work. And I want to say, and Joe, thank you very much for the show. Very quickly, I want to say that, the quest for goodness and the truth is what the founding fathers were after. And I'm not a citizen, and I'm a visitor to the country, and so thank you. So I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to actually breathe freely and talk freely, even sometimes when I'm talking nonsense. Okay?
Oh no, that's what America is about. We all have a chance to speak our mind, whether we all agree or disagree, and that's what I don't understand about the left. In other words, if I have one way of thinking, they don't want to hear my way because it's not their way. And that's what's happened in this country. There's no more debate. There's no more sitting down and try to change each other's mind by presenting the facts. And that's really bad, because this country was founded on that. In fact, really, in the early days, during the revolution, even before it, they used to go to the taverns, and that's where they used to have their talks and talk politics, because there was no radio, there was nothing. So in other words, you went to the local tavern, and that's where you actually talk politics. It's always been that way with this country. You're always going to have, because we're two parties, and even the independent. So there's more than two parties. There's a bunch of different parties. Okay, but in other words, you got to let everybody speak to understand what you don't like about what this person is saying and what you like about what he's been saying.
Yes, sir. So, if you allow me to just, modify a little bit, disagree a little bit or modify it. I want to say, you know, that is not what America is about, but that is what, you know, the good America is about. Because America is like us human beings. When it is good, it is fantastic. When it's not good, you know, it hangs people because of the color of their skin. Okay, so we have to, in our quest for the truth, we have to, you know, focus on the truth. And right now, the country, I feel bad because it's mired in process, and you know, so that you know, we confront people. Let me back up a little bit. I want to say that I wish you the strength, just like with Mike. I wish you the strength not to be overwhelmed by any amount of dosage from CNN. Because, you know, I listen, you know, people that I disagree with you, I want to hear everything. The truth might be in the no brain of
David, I hate to do this to you, but we're against the clock. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But I appreciate the call. Mike,
David, where are you from?
he dropped them out. Mike, thank you for making it in here. I know that you couldn't do it at the end of 2019, but I appreciate the fact that you made it in today.
I appreciate
and
you
the
having
chair
me
in
come
Mike
in.
is open all the time, anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me in, and I really do. It was really nice to get behind the mic again, all right? And I'm glad to see a lot of the callers are still calling. And there were quite a few new callers too, which is good.
Yeah.
You're getting people, the biggest thing I always said is you want to get people to think.
All right, thank you again, Mike. Gary Goldman up next, Business, Politics, and Lifestyle. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Joe out.
Welcome to this Handle and Change tip. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, and joining me is Wes Oliver.
Mike, Jean hasn't changed a bit, has she?
What's that?
Jean, she
Oh,
hasn't.
jeez.
She's